the concrete and all that? Or is it you pretty much just?
Well, we do concrete work too, our concrete division is fail. So it's not too far to come down. And then
There's not a lot of concrete work.
we do stonework,
You guys do flagstone, right?
yeah. We did the walk over at
City Park. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about, Bob. I didn't know if that might be at least something to say.
No,
Yeah. Are you guys expensive?
Yeah.
No.
where we would know.
That means they're good.
Price, you already
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah. I just think it might be good to send his company the RFP. Yeah. I think that would be really good. Just because we have what, flagstone, concrete, and then,
And so.
yeah,
Video stuff.
yeah. What?
Yeah, and we got, this one, there's. All that kind of stuff as well.
Is the fire pit flagstone or is it regular stone?
Oh, it's not done, but part itself would be on the side.
Yeah,
It'll be one, linear stuff, concrete linear stuff.
yeah.
And we did it.
Just, you know,
Concrete work, I don't know if we work, for guys from down there, will do it.
Well, the parking lot is curved and stuff like that too, so it's sidewalk. So
there's a lot there.
it's flat where it rains. And we got the contractor in town, I guess, about 300, so they're doing the curb and stuff on the roads, and
Oh, is that who's doing that?
I think so. I mean, I don't think it's the bucket here, but it's,
Yeah,
that's the company.
okay. And you were on that email with me that Cindy sent us about the grant funding for Shell Park.
Yeah, and I haven't had any, all I have to, and I responded to you as well, but I responded to her, that, the benchmark we have is the budget that was.
Okay.
And for these, basically phase 3 and 4. Partly.
Yeah.
It's like,
You just can't make any motions.
so, okay,
Yeah.
how realistic that is.
Well, maybe the max we can get from the grant is 250.
The town has so many budgets this year, for phase 3. I don't know how much they get in general.
Okay.
You know, once we nail down the scope, which I'm hoping to do tonight, basically. And then, I'll say.
Yeah, no worries. I wanted to
This year, Joe?
stay in touch with you
Again.
so I can write the narrative, so.
Actually, good morning.
What does it say?
Please add an amendment to the agenda, Bob Hamilton with Scout Park Phase 3 update. But you already on there.
Yeah.
Hopefully one more come, it's not hopeful that.
Yeah, yeah, we can go at least through the
Yeah.
items on the agenda and hear Bob's presentation and Kevin's presentation.
People were supposed to. Yeah, he is for. Make you a motion.
We have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, he's not a voting member.
I don't know that they're. Was here.
Or Tom, or Brady,
Yeah.
Dan, they were here.
Oh, yeah, honest.
Harassment. What's that? Yeah, what was up with that? I'm totally kidding.
I went to a. Backcountry outlet workshop.
That's awesome. Is that where the Colorado Avalanche
Oh, it's where the.
Institute is?
You think, it's down there, they. Not museum.
Oh, Colorado Mountain Club? No,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that the-
yeah, all right. I see the, I know it's not the Colorado Avalanche Institute, but I see them on the news.
CAC, yeah.
Yeah, talking about
Yep.
current conditions and stuff.
They do a thing in every October. Well, seesaw. Colorado, workshop, yeah, recreation.
Oh, cool.
And it'll be there.
That's awesome.
Now we started doing the backcountry one, which is kind of cool.
Are you still ski patrol at Atlanta?
I patrolled that Bluebird backcountry this year.
I don't know where that is.
It's about a half hour north of Crown.
Okay,
It's a backcountry skier. There's no list.
do they have, cats? You just hike up and ski down?
It's all speeding up.
Wow,
All the things managed. By patrol by just ski cutting it, speeding it, and really cool.
that is cool.
Really laid back, so I had a lot of fun.
Did Berthoud used to do that? Or does
I'm not
Berthoud
sure.
still do that?
No, first, they don't do it up there.
They don't have it anymore.
Well, he's back in high school during the time.
Yeah, they have cats though too that work there. Of
I
just-
heard, I was doing that, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
I've
cool.
never heard it.
It's good, yeah, so they're gonna probably do another one, you can sort of thing, it's a really cool idea, to go backcountry ski, then you can ski and safe. Backcountry terrain, and there's no lift, no agreement,
Is it Forest Service or is it, BLM or what is it?
I'm not sure, they lease it off from a ranch. So they can move in December, then they have to be cleaned up and out by, like, beginning of April.
Wow. But there's no snow out there.
Yeah, but it's like 8,000 feet, so it's a little more complicated. Yeah, it was fun.
That's a workout, skiing up and skiing down.
All day, yes.
Beach or riding, whatever.
Like the best thing Jay did, ever, like right now.
That's awesome.
And I did money before work, I was granted, so. Worked it and did it.
I get tired riding.
Yeah, I'd be tired right now.
It's fun. All right, I want to start.
You can skip the whole call to order part.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Approval.
Okay. Let's just go right to Bob.
Good fun. I met, did a little bit of work on trying to get the scope built out and
Hold on, somebody's coming in.
Okay, then.
Look who it is.
we got it going.
Mr. King.
One for an answer.
Sorry, it's so close. Now I can leave it again, didn't have to. Thank you. Nobody made it. All right.
What's that? Oh, he's got a staff right here. You have this? Oh, you're one of these. Those are two different ones. Okay.
Okay, Parks and Recreation Commission, town of Georgetown, regular scheduled meeting Thursday, April 6th, 2023, 6 P M. Notice an agenda for regular meeting. Town hall will be open to the public for this meeting. There's an option to join virtually. If you'd like to leave a comment, please call 303-569-2555, extension 2, or email town clerk at townofgeorgetown.us. They will give you details regarding the meeting. Agenda. Call to order, roll call, Chairman Steve Callahan here, Vice Chairman Tom Paxton here, members Deb Luther,
Here,
Daniel Owen, Brady Scott, Hunter Lumber,
Here.
Rob Collins. Agenda approval.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I will
Approved. Minutes approval, March 2nd, 2023.
I'll move to approve the minutes of March 2nd, 2023 as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. Audience business. Members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. No official action may be taken at this time. Would you like to-
Strauss Park is on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna skip Bob quick and let Kevin do his report.
Okay, most of my time in this month has been, that's what has been, dealing with the snow. It's been a lot of snow and ice, and so now much spare time, I've just been trying to fix those timbers around the lake, the cable run through them again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there's several of those broke, so I got 4 of those done in the past 2 weeks.
Oh.
And, I did go pick up the bush hog.
Okay.
So we had that.
Awesome.
Brand new, but cool. And other than that, same old stuff.
Sounds good.
Does that
Help mom out a little bit. Pardon me?
allow you to like cut big flats of land that might have some rocks mixed in?
Yep.
So you can just do like high cut?
Oh, you got a spot that you did.
And then I'm like,
Big spot.
yeah, well, I mean, obviously, we always try to trim down on meadows. But, but I mean, like, small sticks and stuff,
Yeah, like an inch or so.
like we did Greenway, part of Greenway.
We can find some areas there.
Or break it, we just got.
Okay.
You have to tell me my limit, yeah. And, I sent you a helper and.
I've been dealing with him. He's coming on Monday. I got a special job for him. We're gonna do sandbags for the springtime. Well, we're supposed to meet at 7 o'clock on Monday.
I trust you.
You know. He doesn't know he's doing sandbags.
God. Is he shoveling the rink?
And then the rink is kind of slushy, so there's still more maintain
It is illegal.
I know, they really get out on it though, and I don't know, what do you think?
Well,
It's supposed to be really warm next week, too.
Oh, really?
it's starting tomorrow.
When do you, pull off the sidewalk?
See, I've been doing it before at this time of year,
I
but
know.
since I was able to put so much water in it, it lasted a lot longer.
Yeah, and it was 7 degrees this morning, so.
Yeah.
The lake seems like it's pretty frozen right now.
Yeah, like,
Just say this month, just keep an eye.
Yeah,
yeah, I was training.
yeah,
That's not something we've done.
I know, and you did look at the skates and throw away the ribbons.
What?
All right, awesome,
Good, thanks, Deb.
thanks, Kevin.
Right, Strauss Park, refresh phase 3, RFP.
Okay, first let me give you an update on phase 2. Phase 2, for all intents and purposes, is done, all the trim, all the siding, all that's been done next week. I'll do some touch-up paint, and we're still waiting on the gutters. They are tentatively scheduled for next week if the weather permitting, which it ought to be, so I'm hopeful that that'll get done, but everything else is all done on the,
Looks good.
Yeah, before the end of the week though, my ambulance department told me we're getting a big storm at the end of next week, so be ready.
The what?
Which, the more snow,
Yeah,
Right?
the end of next week, so be prepared.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've gotten, pretty significant snows in May, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of good work.
You know, and still keep your fingers crossed, free. So that's what we, and I, over the last month, I've been working, going through and trying to get the plans together for phase 3. The package that I sent out, that you have the drawing package, that's kind of marked up to reflect what we had talked about at the last meeting with you guys. I took the liberty of meeting with, the Business Promotion Commission yesterday,
Oh, that's what VP is, I didn't know it.
Yeah, I think.
First Patrol.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I wanted to bring them up to speed on kind of where things were and, what I prepared if you have a sheet that's like two pages
Yeah,
that have blue and black print.
Yes.
The blue print is the update. The results of the discussion I had with the building promotions committee, or the business promotions. The notable things were, they were really taken back with the idea of removing the Civil War monument in the corner, which is right by the corner of the shed there.
Why?
Because it was apparently just removed.
from the library.
They seem to think that it was historic.
Yeah, it's not a school, it's the reason why it's not-
That's what they said. I don't know. Their main idea was that the town spent a lot of money putting it there, or relocating it from, I guess, Library Park to wherever it was.
Yeah.
Back in 2009. They would much prefer to see it preserved and refurbished. I don't know if it was the ball or an old stamp or something on the top of it. Some big silver thing apparently was on it that has disappeared. I don't know. But they were going to send a formal recommendation to retain it to the Board of Selectmen. So that is something you probably want to think about. First.
Space absorber.
Yeah, I just think a lot of states doesn't do anything, it's not a story, it was a story, I wouldn't touch it, but it's not a story, it's just a bad, going down. Yeah, we could downgrade it to industrial fire or something.
Certain bands.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm the messenger for it. I'll give you-
No, you're.
We'll plan to do whatever makes sense there. The other thing is, and I brought this up, looking at the stone bench. Since we decided to keep the bench in the corner. The stone bench is essentially a replica of the bench on the corner.
Okay,
If you look at the plans, basically it's 8 feet long and it looks very much like the one that's there. If we want to put a bench there, I think we'd save a whole lot of money. In time and effort to just put a bench there rather than build another big stone bench.
so on the corner, the way it is now, the
That's-
little diagonal bench.
Yeah.
Removing that, or we redoing. And then, do we have any benches that go down towards?
Well, you see where that orange thing is there?
Yeah.
Right there is, the plans call for a stone bench. And if you look at the details on sheet.
I know we talked about having like a little bench that went along Sixth Street, so people could sit on it and watch the parade and stuff.
So they proposed, since it's so long ago, we proposed building a stone bench there.
Yeah, the plan, what's shown on the DHR plan is. The guy that's the line. It must not have put in the package, and I thought they had put all that in there. But And I can send that to you, it's essentially the same thing as
Second page.
the one on the corner.
Yeah,
It's massive, it's got a 4 foot deep foundation.
And what do you propose, Bob?
I just put flagstone there and just get another metal bench. Or we could get, I mean, to me, it makes sense to use the affordable, benches like we have elsewhere.
I agree.
The intent was speeding,
Yeah, I'm actually fine with that.
so that's what I would recommend, and we'll just change that, we'll save some money. What are we gonna go through this? Those were the two big things that came out of the meeting. Is that corner meant to be restored at all? I look at it, I didn't really look at it terribly critically, but I mean, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't remember. Well, I think it's okay. I mean, the little square post there, they need to come out, they're planning to come out. Yeah. They're falling apart. If there were decision were made to keep the monument, that could use some rehabilitation, some of the pointing on that needs to be redone, and that kind of stuff.
I see people sitting on that corner bench all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Stone?
Yeah,
I've been shoving flower baskets in the, on that corner.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think that it's smart to not spend the money to build another one of those and just put, flags on it and it'll be all open there. We're moving the fence up to the, Fifth Street, that's what.
Yeah.
Over there.
Are there gonna be benches that are like bolted down so people don't move them around?
I mean, I just, we could, the reason we can't do that.
There's big metal ones where you down, they have my flags done.
Yeah, those metal ones have disappeared or anything, they're pretty,
People putting them across the street and stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's lots of money right now, so I think we
That's sturdy and heavy.
Lots of good ones.
We didn't give everyone, a good many events with it, so they can't move them out. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, that works. Awesome, Bob.
But we see what else.
The corner one's pretty cool, there. Fine.
But we go here. You think we go?
That was one in like, it's.
If you look on the south street,
Right?
people, 3.0. I'm proposing that in the corner between the K&A building and the new shelter, we go the little, like rock wall, rock base wall there, you use that as a planter. The gas main,
Is that behind the
Behind the,
shelter? That's the open black?
yeah, it's the straight line that comes in is the corner of the K&A building, so there's about a 7 foot.
Oh, I see, right there.
Under my tent, just that corner, off the entrance into the park. And we've got there's a gas line that comes up there, I'm hoping to be able to reuse that, I think it's live.
Okay.
There's to put the new gas meter in there rather than have to do another check on the parking lot and do all that. We can do that and we can run gas line over the fire pit and, you feed it from there, we plant a few flowers or shrubs in there to hide that.
yeah,
I think that would clean that up nice in that corner.
That's good.
The other thing is, in the same drawing, on the parking lot side of the shelter. Between the sidewalk back to the restrooms and the shelter, we got plenty of room to put it in planting, that would be almost 8 feet deep. So we could put, trees and shrubs and flowers or, whatever you want to put in. If that needs to be your approval, I would propose that we do maybe a rock wall to elevate it a little bit. Keep people out of it.
That'd be fine.
so are you talking about the one that says planter or another?
No, the one that says.
Oh, yeah, No, that's good.
those were things that were not in the DHM design, but I mean, they're the result of, you know, changing the
If
shed.
you add a little stone, wall on the one corner, and stone planter, little walls, we should probably try to match the stone. We're gonna leave that bench on that corner.
Yeah, we should,
Not gonna match the stone, there's nice, I don't care, I believe it, my company, we can match it, we got a 10-acre stone yard, and we got some all over the country. I'm sure we can get it pretty quick.
yeah, and then I picked was stone that in the, somewhere in here I added, natural stone veneer. And I tried, this is a picture I can take from the stone wall over at the, county building.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think that's pretty close to what's in the stone wall, but that,
Yeah, I'll take a picture of that bench and I'll send it up to our yard. See if they can match it. Even if we don't do the work, we can probably supply it, so, well, they can tell them what it is, and they can buy it.
I think the only other change that resulted from this is the town, we originally were not planning to do the parking lot this year. But there's real push by the town because of the drainage problems. We
Yeah.
Go back into that, to get that done, so we're gonna include that in the plan and see if we can afford it.
Is that phase 4? Is that parking lot phase 4?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
We're gonna pay with them? Well, I mean, we need to put you could put the, you know, the curbs and gutters in
Yeah,
and then paving it with something.
Did we decide we're gonna do, water set Blackstone or since that?
It's all public chance.
Since it.
Yeah, so they'll need to go ahead and excavate.
If I would say, I'm guessing put the town all roads, the roads, Colorado roads, and so on, match everything else down.
Yeah, well, any concrete, exposed concrete would be the Davis sandstone color, which is like I think it's 2 pounds per 100 pound
Okay.
mix
Yeah.
or something like that. Cindy does all that.
I saw your decision to go with the gas fire pit.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Where is that?
I like to do something where they have logs that are kind of stacked.
Like a teepee?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
That'd be cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's much more unfitting than some kind of a modern.
I know we have a compass design in there. I've heard something about maybe not doing that or.
I would rather see it not be in there from the standpoint that it's not a modern type, I mean, it is a modern type thing, we're still. I don't think it's anything you ever would have found in Georgetown.
I'm not over the top on it.
I feel like it'd be more costly unless you're looking at it from the top down,
Yeah.
you're not gonna see.
Yeah, yeah, I know you probably like it.
I mean, it's cool in theory, but like, you're not gonna even understand that's what it is once you're.
Yeah, anyway, look at Georgetown, I'm still eating.
Gee, around the park.
Even that would be.
What do you say?
It's just getting rid of it and just make it.
I'm pretty simple when it comes to my store and stuff, so I'm okay with just went back to just.
Yes, I think simple is better.
We're gonna do benches around it, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
You will, don't see that? You're flying over.
Did we really figure out like? Find nice Lynn Anderson, all the drainage and just so afraid of. Scrapping in the water, you know how you can drive back.
That's all, that's why the parking lot is this year, we want to get the drainage fixed back there.
Yeah, because that driveway goes back further than I thought it did.
Yeah, I mean, the town's property line is right along the edge of the building, the apartment. And there was some discussion there. Rick came down along, looked at it, and says, you know, should we go all the way back to the building
Yeah,
and increase the size of the parking lot? And you'd only gain maybe 4 places at most, 3 or 4 places.
It's narrow and it's really only for like super under.
I mean, they go all the way straight back, and you look at well, they go straight back and go that. But you're probably the best looking pine tree in town
Yeah,
is there, and
think about like
That's like murder.
that there,
that's not town land. We're not
Okay.
doing that.
but we're fine with drainage. That,
That's not the town problem.
okay,
I mean, we'll take care of the drainage on the town property and get it from the property line out into the
stormwater.
street or wherever.
Okay,
What I talked to Craig Davidson and he agreed that the good idea is we put the gutters on. We'll direct the gutters from, they're only the leading edge of the shed, the outside,
yeah,
where people are going to be. We're gonna put in dry wells.
okay,
Which are big, basically,
yeah,
it's a big pipe that holds it about 4 feet buried. And he says, they'll work fine, you use that other places up like in Keystone. And he says, you run the heat rate down into the drain line just to keep enough flow going, then that'll keep all that clear and nice and stuff, so. We'll probably put in 2 or 3 dry wells.
awesome, okay,
What
You
about,
may need to do something like, you may want to look at, I'll talk to Rick. You may look at doing something like that back where that apartment building is.
okay,
But the problem is, the entrance to the parking building is below the grade of the,
no,
so. We'll look at that, we may put a berm there or something, that's what you see, that blue line that goes off to the right of the
yeah,
curb, that's an added piece of curb to a gutter to bring water from that end of the parking lot over into our drainage channel
okay,
to get it out to the street. It does slope from the back of that lot out toward Grove Street,
yeah,
and it slopes towards Sixth Street as well.
okay.
anything else in the landscaping about, I know we decided not to, don't rent through it, but 2 up front, but I put.
Well, I think that makes sense to have a bench there with a fire.
Okay.
If you see the,
I mean, we have 2 by along the street.
yeah, but they're just regular benches. They're
Steel bench, yeah.
yeah, just a regular bench.
We do steel bench there, and steel bench in the other corner.
Yeah, I think you got 3 there,
And steel
and then
bench
you got
around
the stone one, you could even put 2. You can look and see,
Yeah, room, yeah.
you got room there, which,
The tree was always gonna stay, right?
The what?
The tree is always gonna stay. With you.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't burn down the tree. It was good.
Well, the tree was originally gonna go away, and I think the new decision might be to keep the tree.
Yeah.
The cottonwood tree. And
Yeah,
I mean,
it's coming to the out this year to be like.
That's tree,
Street.
yeah. Yeah, I want one.
Well, it would be not like this, I like everything except I don't see that line.
I think it's either one.
No,
It's a nice one.
No.
I agree. No, I was just thinking as, instead of,
But you're against it.
no, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
But I was thinking about, removing the iron fence on Fifth Street. And there's those really pretty purple trees there. And what would it look like on the corner? I don't know.
Or take the plaque off of that, since it's not in storage, but we could salvage the plaque wherever the story
Put
is.
the flag on the bench.
Put it on that planter that we're gonna put behind that part of the. Yeah.
the plaque, you can check with you got some big holes coming in. And that mold, the design over the, remove that monument and put onto a boulder.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can certainly put anywhere.
Could be on that planter that's facing the parking lot, if we do that planter.
It could be, right?
Kind
It's gonna take up the whole thing, that's all.
of, well, you wouldn't move the whole line, but there's metal plaque.
Flat.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's something.
Yeah, well, there's something that's on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that new plane we're talking about here. Or that on one big building there.
That's kind of a weird street, but we want to. You can put it on the end of the street.
We'll find a place, I'll-
So,
we need a new overall drawing, it's got some. Close, no? I know, it's. This is good. Yeah, that's pretty close. I think if we could salvage the flag, but lose the giant red thing. I mean, it's cool for little kids to climb on the road.
Well, that was always the agenda, to, you know, some of the fun things, so that
yeah,
if the money is going to find out what's going
yeah,
That can't be.
no, I like that. I'm totally good with that.
History school, but the flag, what that means.
Anything else, Bob? You covered it all.
You're a busy bee,
Yes, we appreciate all your work.
yeah. You did it awesome.
Yeah, and we'll have to see about working. We can work stuff in. You keep the park open. You know, all of our events tend to be on weekends, which is good because these need to be cleaned up. Open the park. Yeah.
So on that, on this one, consider removing pine tree, rock wall, and raised area at the east side of the parking lot.
Yeah, that's.
Is that in the back?
that's
back
where you-
there?
that's where you-
That's our Queen's Christmas tree, right?
Hmm?
Isn't that our, like?
Yeah. It's one like you are. Across from the restaurant.
Yeah, right, so,
That was, the driver for that was great parking lot area, but. I don't.
it doesn't get as much,
Well, the amount of money you spend to do that, because you lose the tree,
yeah,
and you might get 3 or 4 more spaces, business promotion was not at all in favor of that, I tend to agree with them.
oh, they say don't do that, okay, I thought they were saying do that.
So, are you guys in agreement as well that it doesn't seem like it's a smart idea?
It's a nice little buffer if you live in those apartments.
Yeah, that's correct.
It is, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's more places we can landscape, but
Yeah. Awesome, thank you so much,
Yep, and my next stop will be to DRT next week,
okay,
bring them up to speed and get their buy-in, I think everybody's pretty much on the same page, and then it'll go to the board of selectmen. Or the next Tuesday, DRC is Thursday, it will be the following. Board of selectmen to get an approval, so I guess move forward. So,
We gotta keep those. The cart, the other thing that's over there now,
the work card,
the order cart.
yeah, it's fun, it just stays, right?
it's gonna stay, I'm not sure we'll put it, where we'll put it, I think that's
How
something,
about the other piece?
I mean, you can stay where it is right now.
The other thing.
You have no about it.
And that never figured in, because I don't think it existed when DHR did their plans.
I think we
So-
had that delivered last year.
We poured flowers on it.
Yeah, we taken like some delivered old bugs, I stuck it there.
Yeah.
The whole Minecraft was like rusted and full on parts, I think you like.
We kept it,
Did
yeah, it's still-
I fixed the part.
yeah, it's still on the tracks, right?
we?
Yeah.
It'd be cool to keep.
Yeah,
It is.
We're finding a place for this, really. Possibly it would be, like, it would be in that planter behind the desk.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
big, sweet smelling marla.
That'll be, I'm thinking that the plantings and stuff, you know, might come this fall for,
Yeah,
you know, shrubbery and stuff, and then next year for that, but,
okay,
you know, there's no point in thinking about buying plants until we get all the other stuff done.
yeah,
I will come to you with probably 2 alternatives for, doing some kind of a permanent, semi-permanent concession facility, either inside the storage area. Yeah.
yeah,
Another thought I've had is on those 2 booths at the end, putting up similar to what we used to have with the wooden counter in basically turning it in. only on those two, which I don't think would affect Christmas market, because you can still use them as
Yeah,
individual. Something more permanent that would help have like a window, pass-through window access to the inside, so that you could, on weekends or something, use that as a concession for, you know,
Well, that's-
popcorn or hot dogs, so. I'm gonna kind of price those two out, and that's a project we can do later.
That's a good idea.
yeah, that sounds
We
good.
have sufficient building materials in terms of lumber to do that, to do, you know, something that probably, you know, siding to match and all that, so we could do that pretty easily.
Awesome.
And we'll definitely, I think, we pretty much included, we're gonna put, an outlet for, the truck.
Oh, for a good truck.
Outlet for, the vendor truck,
Oh, good.
somewhere on the backside of the shed.
Did you say, are we putting a little like kitchenette thing in there with a sink or something?
Yeah, that's level location.
A small apartment?
And I'm kind of neat, I think it would be good to get a water line brought into there. So we put the irrigation, the controllers and all that stuff inside with the ability to, you know, blow it out easily and all that, you know. I'll get with Kevin on that, so,
Yeah.
and put a permanent meter, because we don't have a meter on that, that water
Yeah,
figure that's in the park now, so. Remember, he says, you know, we need to have a meter on it, or. But she's not gonna lock it.
no, that sounds good.
But I mean, that, now's the time to do that, and if we do that, we can probably put a sewer, drain line. Back to the sewer.
That'd be good.
We have electric, that's not a problem.
So should I just email back and forth with you about the CDOT grant?
So that, can we talk about that for a minute?
Yes.
That's the reason I'm here.
Okay.
The town has in the past, gotten a couple of grants. One of them was, of course, for the restrooms that went in back. The other was the street, furniture. And there is a program that is continuing that is called the Revitalized Main Street Program, and it is their small grant program. But what I was wondering, you want to do this work this summer? And do we have any idea? Yes, exactly. Do we have any idea what it will cost? And you don't, you answer that quite yet. I know that there's $155,000, I think $13 in your budget, because I checked it,
Okay.
for doing this work. I don't think that will accomplish
No.
all of this. The grant, what's interesting about these grants, fascinating to me, because I write grants, but never been in grant rounds that go like this. If we can submit something to them on May 31st, they will review it between June 12th and June 16th, and they will let us know whether we have that money by June 26th. And that was amazing. And it seems to me, a no-brainer that if we can have you have the plans, and if we can have a good estimate, you can ask for up to $250,000 in this, that's their cap amount, that you can ask for. I brought the information about it. This is when it comes to what kinds of projects they want to do. This is exactly the kinds of project they want to do. Because they said, what is an example project? I'll install big furniture and all three trees. Expand the pocket park, install bike things, create, they're all about creating places for pedestrians and people to sit. This is what this is, yes, that's why we went for the restrooms for Strauss, because I looked at it first time, went through and thought, there's no reason we shouldn't apply.
Yeah.
We've had 2 successful grants from them. That makes your chance better, not worse. Because they know.
Yeah.
They know that you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And many thanks to Mary Sims, many thanks to Mary Sims, because the pain in the neck to track these kind of things through your system. But I've talked to Mary, and what you got in your budget is more than ample match. To what they would ask for, I think these days there has been, I don't agree, has been 20%. So you got more than enough. So my question is, if you're interested in pursuing this. That maybe Beth or somebody would be willing to sort of join in the pursuit of this. The town currently has a larger infrastructure grant, it's what we're gonna be doing the street between Argentine, between 15th Street and 22nd Street, Argentine Street, you know, better known as the Raceway.
Yeah,
So it is a raceway. So we have a large grant for that. But we're
you
going
can
not.
share what you guys were doing there.
Oh, yes, yeah, but the finances of it is that we have the large grant, as we got into the design of it. There are obvious things we want to do that we did not include, so we are not going to be doing that project this summer. We are going to be out seeking the other half of the money to do what we really want to do with it. Because that's turning out to be like a $1.7 million game just to do the piece that we want to do. So that one, and I'm going to talk to these people on, actually in a couple of days, next Tuesday or something, but, and that I can send you that, and you can sit into that conversation if you like.
What day are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm doing that on Tuesday, from 12 to 12:30. I know you have things on Tuesday, but that's your lunch hour, so I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're not, my group isn't meeting Tuesday, so I'll try and get in there.
Okay, because I will send you to wherever you want the link to get on, because this is a quick Zoom. And we're talking about whether we're eligible. So I'm not saying for sure that we are, because they usually don't do two grants at the same time.
Right.
But this is two different grant programs.
Yeah.
And so I had sent them a note and said, if we're doing the larger one, can we still go for a small one? And she instantly wrote back and said yes. And then she wrote back and said, well, we need to talk to you about where you are on the other. So this isn't a promise, but I need to know, you know, whether you think it's something that we will, and whether we can get numbers.
Let me tell you where we are with the benchmark we have from the DHM estimate that was done back in 2020, I think, 2021, is like 550,000 for these two phases. Basically, what is in this scope here. I will, and that's based on their complete design. Now, we made some things to hopefully should drop that cost a little bit, although we added some, you know, we added Flagstone everywhere, which that's gonna, you know, crank it up some. And its numbers were back in the 2020 timeframe, but they also estimated to do the shelter, it was gonna run about $500,000. We did it for 230,000. So, I don't have as much confidence estimating this kind of stuff. So what my plan is I'll adjust the DHM estimate, see where it falls in. And I'm going to go with this. And my plan is to get out the bids to, you know, 4 or 5 contractors that can do this kind of work. And we've got one, Lunsford, I think is another one that's been suggested. And yeah, I guess, so there's 2 there, and there's got to be other people around.
Yeah.
People that do landscape type stuff or concrete work, you know, you can look at that. I'm expecting to be able to do that as soon as the town tells me I can go out for bids. So what I'm gonna do is, based on what I just heard here, since there is some urgency, I'll see if I can get on next week's Board of Selectmen meeting and just get an agreement from them that, okay, we pretty much have the scope. Can I put this together and go through Rick and can we go out for bids? I don't think I have any problem with that. We're not spending any money to do that.
Okay.
So by you know, before the end of April, we should have this stuff out on the street for bids.
Awesome.
And that would get us, the time we'll have something we can hang our hat on, some numbers to meet your end of May. But I mean, we're definitely over 250,000. I mean, I wouldn't expect to get anything, to get all this done for that. Just because of the stone, basically, you got all this limestone, and then we've got exposed concrete around the shelter, and the intent there is if you clad that with, veneer stone.
Yeah,
It actually, so it all, you know, it all looks good and it all matches the, you know, the bronze stone we have all over town. So that's kind of where we are.
This is cool.
I think it's doable and
I don't think so.
Anymore?
I think it's all limestone. I
yeah,
don't think there's any grass in there anymore.
you know, there is.
But grass-
The fire on the fire pit? That's what I thought. It's like, the town, they have, that's all grass, and flying around, you definitely want grass. You want grass there.
It's like a tree and that would be soft. I mean, it was,
If they need something to cut.
Yeah.
we've got a new lawnmower.
That's
A lot of return, it's all grass.
Yeah.
so we've got 165. So do you, if we went to the maximum here of 250, then it was 400.
Yeah.
And so that
We can make that work.
puts you really into the hole. That means an idea that
Well, and there's also been in the town budget, in some other pockets, I know there's like 30,000 somewhere. But the screen, it's a silver.
Exceeded your budgets, yes, there is, but one question to Steve, do you ever do just, construction estimates down people out, or does it have to go out to bid in order to get an estimate?
Yeah, if I know what we're doing, I can. Price together. We would just, I can do these prices with just the stonework. We used to do landscaping, but we do all the flag stuff, like the price on the flagstone, the landscapers would do the boulders and stuff. And then I can see if our concrete division would be interested. I'm not sure what they're going on right now, but obviously might be better to get a local guy, I don't know.
I mean, I can estimate the concrete based on the experience we have with the concrete over here, because it's not. You know, there's a couple of foundations.
Yeah.
Stuff in orange with the deep foundation, you just get rid of one of them by not doing that bend, so it's the only deep foundations. Are the ones around the fire pit for those two feet wall,
Yeah.
and then, excavation, I can get banking pretty quick to tell us, you know, to dig the deep hole, to get all that in. My intent would be, if we decide to go that, we probably try to move on that as quickly as we can. Before the summer season starts to hit, because we get in and out, get the deep stuff done,
Yeah.
and then the flagstone is. That's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah, and I understand that you need somebody to estimate the price from, put the whole thing formally up to bid. And go through the formal bid process, means the essentially ending up saying that we're going to, you know. Select somebody who does, and how much of this. How much of this really needs to be done? Somebody gonna be in charge of the whole job then, or are we simply asking them to do the plan? I mean, what?
We can do it either way.
I don't think it wants to do everything.
That would be my purpose on this, is just. And that's a selfish one, rather than me riding hurdle with this whole thing all summer. The downside of that, of hiring a contractor to do everything. Is that you're gonna be pretty much at the mercy of his schedule. And unless you put something in the contract that is, you know, schedule penalties or incentives or something like
I
that.
mean, you love, they're silver product, right?
Hmm.
Neil,
Oxford is sort of line, and I mean, the town is good. I mean, they've worked with them before.
yeah.
But I mean, if you look at what's involved. Demolition, which, you know, there's not a whole lot of demolition work I mean. A backhoe in a truck will take care of the demolition work, and that's quick and easy. So that, we can do that locally without much effort. The two deep foundations, we're gonna dig a hole and do some forming and stuff. It's really just you mentioned the bench base, it goes down like four cross line.
Yep.
And then the holes to put the dry wells in. And, you know, that we could do something with there. But then you're into flat work for the curbs, the gutters, and all that kind of stuff. It would go in probably before you want it in your flagstone. And then the sidewalk. I mean, that's all, it's all, mainly it's in the parking lot where all the.
Yeah, because the sand,
concrete was.
sand said, we want all that done first.
Yeah,
And then the sand said.
yeah. And then, you're gonna need to excavate the area, and get grades put in and all that, basically get all, make sure the drainage is right
Yep.
before you set the flagstone. That'd be the last thing that probably would be done with the flagstone.
4 inches total build up for that.
I mean, we gotta do some trenching to run the gas line, we're gonna, you know, need to run electric lines for the, you know, the pole lighting, we got going in and stuff like that. And, we decide to put water in, you know, we'll have to do some of that kind of stuff as well, so there's a bunch of digging type stuff, and then you get into the flat work and then the flagstone material, so we could do it in pieces, and probably save some money there.
Yep, I agree.
We get the right contractors, so. That's something we'll have to take a look at, so as soon as we can get the scope nailed down, which I think we're pretty much there. Then I can get these finalized and write up the scope of work for each of the elements. And let people bid on it. I mean, I would go back to Triangle Electric, the electric stuff, they know, they treat it as well. And I'll get a hold of them and get them on notice that, you know, we want to get the rest of this done.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bob.
Awesome.
And you are a yes to see if we can see with the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not doing.
Nobody else. Beth, what email shall I send this, link to?
You can send it my work one, that's fine.
We covered once in that, oh, good.
About Argentina.
Oh, yes, I went to go to tell them.
I'll send just, look on the east side of, the road, we will be a 5-foot wide sidewalk, we will have a buffer zone, and we will continue with street lights in certain, eventually every place, but to begin with, in certain of the darker areas, because there are areas that going down that street. I mean, we don't need the streetlights really in front of the Empress or Family Dollar. At this point, they would start sort of below that and probably skip in front of Bighorns because Bighorn is pretty well lit, so. And then try taking them down to the microtel. That's a financial challenge. It will be wider, so we can put them consistently down the street. We just can't afford to get them all there.
Yeah.
The street itself, we had originally said, and this is what we were budgeted for, we had originally said we were not gonna touch the roadway at all. However, traffic calming, that's what they call it,
Yeah.
it is sort of essential down through there. And we talked with lots of folks about how you manage to do that. And, you know, people talk about paint stripes all over the place and making little dips or little bumps or. Basic humps. You want.
Yeah, like it was 903. Yeah. Yeah.
People can see the nice mountain and then all of the rest. But it was ultimately said was if you even make a slight curve in a road. And that does tend to slow people down some. And so there is a plan that as you start down, there will be, as you go by the lodge or whatever they call it these days, super, what is
Oh, yeah.
what is it?
The Georgetown, you remember? No, that's a lot.
Yeah, that we actually buy that, the road's going to appear to curve just, it's gonna curve out and back in just slightly. It also allows us to get the sidewalk in on the other side more comfortably.
Yes.
And then we will be around about at 22nd Street, not a big one, but, you know, it will be, not a big one, it's not tiny either, but it's not the size of the one that we have, the entrance 15th Street. Because that intersection is really a accident way to happen. Ultimately, there will be, on the west side, the bike trail will come through on that side. That's not our priority. First priority is to get pedestrian sidewalk. We have people living down there, we have to get people off the street. But moving the road sort of moves budget apart, which is, why we're not doing this summer, and we are seeking some additional funds. That was earlier today. Yeah, money day. But we're seeking some additional funds to be able to complete that in the adult season of 2024.
Oh, great, great.
It's awesome. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you so much. This is great.
Good news with telephone poles, so that you know-
Oh. That telephone?
Well, yeah, those-
Okay, which one's gonna get her?
Yeah. No doubt.
Excel is not great.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Right.
All right, I don't think we have discussed on Greenway Park bike. Trails.
No, I don't.
How we getting off of the master? That's great.
Right. Then the last two, I gave you guys words around are,
Thanks for it. Okay.
and basically, I feel the part of my program is,
Don't get that on.
thanks, it's called scope of services. That is exactly the work we're gonna do, pretty choice projects. And so you guys can look at both scopes. And then email me back, it has kind of the same thing, email me back and tell me if I forgot anything. So, each of them, have scope of service, and then there's one for the park survey.
Oh, there's just one thing. Okay, I will do that.
So I want you guys to look at the scope of services and say, oh, Beth, you forgot to paint Foster's place, or you forgot to put in the sandbox and whatever.
It
And,
looks like we covered everything.
well, okay. That'd be awesome, that's all I have. It, the pictures in the back show which parks we wanna try and do, yeah, yeah. So. We need Foster. Yeah.
But it is, right?
Yes,
Oh, it is different.
I got two,
You don't?
one is Foster's place, and one is.
Yeah.
You only have one?
I didn't know.
Here. That's it. So that, I just want you to look at scope of services and send me any edits, you know, that
Will do.
did I forget to paint something? Did I forget replacing hardware at Foster's place? It's fine. That's all the work we're gonna do is this. So, and then the rest of it is all legal, blah, blah, blah. So,
Right.
all right. Thanks. Right, all of mine.
So,
No. Oh, motion to adjourn.
No, that's.
All fair.
God bless America.
I swear.
Oh, dude. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. When I saw that thing from this. I don't even want to have together. Yeah.
I mean, my kids climb out of a bunch of even smaller. And I still found those. All into the.
So that's- Yeah. Our survey, and you show the second one, it's in the front. When I can give it to you.
Start to. Get.
I'll email it. Email me these for free. Pull the trigger and let me have it. Well, I want to put it out today, but I need him to bring it all. No, I'm taking this, somebody else can verify fires. Are you going into the office downstairs?
No, I don't have a key for that.
Okay. I'm just
I have a
gonna
key
put
for the front door and this door and that's it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put something in the Dropbox.
We can start with a parks folder. I used to have one with the like.
I mean, I think I don't, because I think these two are identical.
No, it's all good, I can put it in the Dropbox.
All right. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Probably not of my stuff.